Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 52 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafty shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, February 13th, so we're one day out from Valentine's Day, and not too many more days out from my birthday. So February is my birthday month, and my birthday hits on Thursday coming up. So between now and when I podcast next week, I'm going to be a year older. So tomorrow's Valentine's Day. I'm wearing my cute little heart earrings. I hope they're right side up. I think they are. We shall see. So those were one of the pair that I picked up at the little gift store thing that's just next door to us here. So I thought, hitting on to Valentine's Day, let's wear those earrings. Next week after my birthday, I'll probably wear the little purple stone, the amethyst type ones. Anyway, doing a lot of rambling here. So it's a cloudy, overcast day here today. I think it's trying to snow. It's not quite cold enough. I think it's been spitting out a few raindrops here and there this afternoon, so hopefully it doesn't get colder and turn into ice, because that's horrible. So enough talking about the weather and enough nattering about random nonsense. So I have a few things to show you this week. I have a finished object, one completely finished object, one sort of finished object, and progress on another couple, works in progress. So my first whip are my pink lemonade socks. They're a pair of shorty socks. This is a pattern by Amy Rapp. Amy Rapp. This is one of the warm-up patterns for Sock Madness round 15. And they're really cute little socks. I made a slight modification with them. Typically with Sock Madness during the regular competition portion, modifications are off the board. So for these, the original pattern called for a slightly shorter cuff. I did the cuff about almost 3 times the length as what it was called for. I think it only called for a short little cuff like so. And I didn't want that. I wanted a little bit of a cuff. And it has a slip stitch heel flap and heel turn gusset. And it has this cute little lace pattern down the side of the foot. The other side is plain, and the two socks mirror each other. So the little lace portion goes down the side of the sock, whether you wear them on your feet like so, and the little design is going down the inside of the foot, or if you wear them like this, and it goes down the outside, top part of your foot. But either which way, they're done, and I love them. I actually kind of prefer shorty socks. I have pudgy legs. I'm just pudgy overall, but I do have pudgy calves and pudgy ankles, and I honestly prefer a shorty sock. It fits easier. I know it's going to fit on my leg. So I honestly prefer a little bit shorter sock. So it's fun to have these kind of socks as some of the warm-up patterns for Sock Madness. So I'll talk a little bit about Sock Madness. I had someone comment, I think it was last week when I mentioned it in the comments, asking for a little bit more information about it. And it's a group that's been around this is year 15 doing this, doing Sock Madness. It is hosted on Ravelry. and officially starts the beginning of March. It is loosely based on the basketball tournament, March Madness, and it is basically what Sock Madness is. It's an international speed sock knitting competition. You heard it here, folks. It is a speed sock knitting contest. And I absolutely love it. It is the most fun. So how it works is in February they open up for registration. The instructions for registering are on the Ravelry page. I think it's Sock Madness Forever. Yeah, Sock Madness Forever, I believe, is the name of the Ravelry group. But if you go over there, if you're interested, if you go over there, you can read up more information about it. But in general, what they do is registration begins and runs through the month of February. Then during the month of February in more recent years, what they've started doing is they've added a few warm-up sock patterns. And this is just to, basically it's just to kind of throw something at the competitors so that we don't keep asking, are you there? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Is it time? Is it time? Because we're all always very excited for this to start. So in February, registration, and they have some warm-up patterns. This year, they released 2 pair of shorty socks, I think on the 1st of February or thereabouts. I knit the 1 pair of the shorty socks, the pink lemonade. I have not yet, and I possibly might not knit the other pair. Then on the 10th of February, they released the 2nd warm-up pattern. And on the 20th, they'll be releasing a 3rd warm-up pattern. These are completely optional. This is just for fun. And just something to knit while we're waiting for the competition to start. So around the 1st of March, the competition itself begins. And the first round, or the first stage of Sock Madness, is the qualifying round. Everyone who is registered will receive a copy of the pattern for the qualifying round. We each have a total of 2 weeks to complete knitting the pair of socks as instructed during that we have 2 weeks to finish a pair of socks according to the specifications in the pattern. They usually have typically what they'll have is they will have certain things that you have to repeat chart X number of times, or the cuff has to be a certain number of rounds. The leg has to be a certain length or a certain number of rows. The heel flap and heel turn gussets have to be done a certain way. The foot, the toe, everything has to follow the way they are set out in the pattern. We're not able to do any modifications. The socks have to be knit to a specific size. So individuals that have teeny tiny feet will end up knitting socks that are too large for themselves. Individuals that have big feet, like a size 10 foot, we're okay. Well, the socks will fit our big feet when we're done. And once you've finished knitting the qualifying pair of socks, you have to submit by email a message saying that they were completed and a link to your Ravelry project page where you will have specific pictures that are required for the moderators to check and make sure you did the socks correctly. It all sounds complicated. It really it's not. There's just specific rules we follow, and the photographs are evidence that we completed the project. The timestamps on the emails are evidence that we finished it within a certain time period. So for the qualifying round, everyone has a full 2 weeks to complete the pattern. Then what happens is the moderators and those that are organizing it will go through all of the pictures and make sure, okay, they'll hit the check marks that, yes, these were knit to specification. You will go into round 2. And what they do once this 2-week period is over, they will organize all of the individuals who successfully knit the pair of socks during the 2-week window. They will place us each on a team. And the teams tend to have approximately 40 members on each team, roughly. And there can be anywhere from 15 to 25 teams, depending on the total number of people who qualify. When we submit our registration, we include some information about our knitting skills and experience and our speed that we typically knit at. And the moderators use this information to place us on different teams, or place each of us onto a team. Those of us that have been around for several years competing in this will say that where I was placed last year was suitable. And then in the subsequent year, you're usually placed in a similar level team. So the teams are usually set so that those with the least experience and those that report that they are really slow knitters, we put on some of the inexperienced teams, and it ranges from those that they've only knit one pair of socks in their life and they've only been knitting for 6 months, up to individuals on the fastest teams, where the people on the fastest teams will they've been knitting for over 50 years. They've knit 500 pair of socks. They can knit a pair of socks in a day or two. And these are individuals that are really fast knitters, or those that have a substantial amount of experience, or they have a lot of spare time for knitting. So what they do is they get everyone onto teams. It's not a perfect system, but it works quite well. And what they do is they'll have teams that range from individuals that are slower to faster teams. I usually tend to be put on a team that's somewhere in the middle, which is about right for my skills, my experience, and my speed of knitting, and the free time that I have for knitting. So we're all placed on teams. Then once all the teams are settled, all the stuff is done, they will release the second pattern. And once the second pattern is released, everyone on all the teams starts knitting as fast as they can. And in round 2, only a certain number of people in each and every team will advance to round 3. So typically if they have 40 people on each team, at the end of round 2, the 35 fastest people in each team will advance to the next round. And then in round 3, it might be the fastest 30 people in every team advance to the next round. And then the fastest 20 people in each team advance. So all through each of the rounds, you're only competing speed-wise against people on your own team. This continues. It's usually about 7 rounds. I think it's usually around 7 rounds. It'll go until there's one person left in each and every team. And then when you have the final round, the fastest person in each of the teams go head to head against each other. And then the fastest of the fastest wins Sock Madness. And they'll also have the second, like the runner-up and second place, third place, and so on. So it's basically a speed sock knitting contest. It's a lot of fun. I think I have only made it up until round 4 or 5. I think I've been eliminated in round 4 and 5 most years. Sometimes sooner, depending on how busy my work schedule is. So we shall see. Once we get into March, you will see that there'll be Sock Madness socks coming out every couple to 3 weeks or so. The competition usually runs from March through sometime into June. So it is a bit of a time commitment, but it's so much fun. It's really a lot of fun. So I'm eagerly awaiting what comes out this year for Sock Madness. They had, or they do release a list in advance of what materials the general materials we need for all of the different rounds. So it'll specify if you need 100 grams of yarn in a solid or a semi-solid color, and X number of beads are required. Or it might say that you need, for another pair of socks, you need a little over 100 grams of yarn, 60 grams one color, contrasting color, 40 grams. Sometimes they will specify, and they won't say whether it's going to be mosaic knitting or whether it's stranded color work or if it's stripes. That you don't get that information until the pattern is released. What else was I going to? And then within 48 hours of when each pattern is going to be released, they will release the information about what materials you need. So they might say, for example, for the qualifying round, you need 100 grams of fingering weight yarn in a solid or semi-solid color. And that you need 2.25 millimeter needles or size to achieve a certain gauge. That information is all given to you. And then you have up to 48 hours to get your materials together. Once they release the specifications or the material list, the pattern may drop anywhere from 5 minutes after they release that until 48 hours after they release that. That varies from round to round. Let's get back to looking at my other works in progress. The other project, one of the other projects that I have a sort of finish in the past week are I never get the name right. Hopefully by the end of the year I will have it right. My Mitten Garland Advent Calendar. And this is by Kathy Lewinsky. And I finished sock number 3. He's kind of cute. He's not my favorite. The 3 came out looking a little bit wonky. It's wider up here where I've just got the straight knitting, and then it gets really tight in here. I think my gauge really tightened up for some reason, and it's not my favorite, but he's done. So mitten number 3 is complete, and I started mitten number 4. So again, oops, I'm tangled up. Again, if you remember, this is a project I'm doing with a group of friends of mine online, and we're setting this up as a knit along to last until the beginning of December. And what we've decided is that we will knit 5 rows per day and finish 1 mitten every 2 weeks. So now I've started up on mitten number 4. And this is 2 days worth. So this is 10 rows have been completed here. Next Saturday I will have most of the hand done, and then in 2 weeks when I come back in the end of February for my next podcast, in 2 weeks this one will be finished, and mitten number 5 will have this much done. So I'm using Knit Picks palette yarn in just all kinds of scraps and leftovers I have at home. I'm also using a 2.25 millimeter needle for this one. So that one's coming along nicely. In the past week, I've also spent some time working on the second sock design that I started partway through last week. I've made some progress on it, but I still have a ways to go. I think last week I showed you I was up to, I think about here. So the leg, I'm not sure if I'm going to do another repeat or 2 on the leg. I might, and then get going on to the heel flap and start going down the foot. But here's what we have so far. And again, it's a nice, straightforward, masculine or unisex kind of design. So this will be another one that'll be really nice for, a unisex sock or something that's masculine for those guys in our lives. So we're not making lacy socks for them. I have not yet finished writing up the pattern for the first pair of socks. And I haven't started writing the pattern up for the second pair. So I'm going to have to get on that in the next week or 2. I just haven't got around to doing that yet. And my last work in progress is my Demyaka Lopa sweater. And this is a pattern by Pinaguri. I'm using Holst Super Soft yarn for this in a variety of colors. The 2 main colors I'm using now on the body are silver gray and cobalt. Are the two main colors I'm using. Almost done the first skein of the silver gray, the main color. And I've got a bunch more, so I'm okay there. So I also used indigo, robin's egg, pineapple, and breeze were the other colors, and I am just at the point now where I'm ready to divide this up and separate for the sleeves. So I'm loving this. My cables are nowhere near long enough to spread this out and show you properly, but it's ready to separate for the sleeves, so it should start moving a little bit faster once I've got part of this put aside and I'm only knitting around the body portion. So I added quite a bit this week. Again, not as much as I would have liked, but that's pretty much what I say every week now, isn't it? But I did a fair bit this week from the marker on down. So I added a good 1.5 inches or so. I'm hoping that this week coming up, I will be able to add a little bit more. So right now, all I have on the needles are the sock design I'm working on, my Advent mittens, which are 5 rows a day that I work on in the morning, and the rest of my time I plan on spending the majority of my time on Demyaka Lopa. I'm loving this. I love the colors. Might not be quite as contrasty as I would have liked through the yoke. That's fine. I can live with that. But that is where I am right now with with Demyakalopa. And I have my little fancy, I've got some hair twisty ties, twisty things on the ends of my needles because I wanted to try on the sweater to see if I had come far enough down the yoke to separate for the sleeves. So there we go. I'm excited to keep working on this and make some more progress on it. So that pretty much sums up all of my knitting for the week. I had a fairly busy week this past week. I had a lot of work-related things that had to get done, so I didn't quite get as much time open up for me to knit as I would have liked, which is usually the case. Work interferes with knitting, but work also keeps me in the lifestyle I've become accustomed to. So upcoming this week, I do have 2 days where I'll have several hours where I'm going to be involved in Zoom meetings where all I have to do is sit and watch and listen. So I'll be able to knit around in circles on Demyakalopa while I'm sitting in on these meetings. So that should allow me to get a goodly bit done on that. I'm going to try my hardest not to cast on anything new this week, although I am tempted to do the other pair of shorty socks, warm-up socks from Sock Madness, but I think I'm going to refrain from that and get working on Demyakalopa some more. But other than that, I don't think much else is new. Busy with work, and I've got a bunch of grading that has to get done in the next little while. That'll take up some of my time, but I really am hoping to get some more work done on the sock design and get some major progress on Demyakalopa this week. I really do want to spend a good amount of time on that this week. That is going to be my focus for the week coming up. So I think that's about it. The hubby's going to be home any minute, so I should get ready to shut down so he doesn't come in going, "Hey, I'm home," hollering into the room. Anyway, so I should get going, and I will see you guys next week. Stay tuned and see how much progress I make in the upcoming week on my knitting. Alrighty, take care everyone, and I will see you guys again in a week. Bye now.